Welcome to Lesson 9. In the previous lesson, we looked at a 1-4-5 progression. Now, sometimes the chords that you'll be soloing over will contain other chords besides 1, 4, and 5. In this example, I'm going to play you a typical progression from the 50s, which uses chord 6. In the key of C, that is an A minor. So the chords will be C, A minor, F, and G. Now we're going to look at what it's like when you solo between chord 1 and chord 6. In this case it will be C major and A minor. Let's take a look. Now I'm in the position of the 5th fret for my pentatonic scale pattern. So I've got my little finger on the 8th fret, 6th string, and of course my first finger going along here is on the 5th fret. Now, A minor has the triad notes A, C, and E. And A, being on the 4th string at the 7th fret, is a very nice chord note to end up landing your phrases on. Now, C major, of course, has the chord notes C, E, and G. As we discussed previously, they can be easily reached by playing the notes on the 5th fret on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. Now we're going to listen to what it sounds like when we play over chords 1 and 6, that is C major and its relative minor, A minor. Now, as I mentioned in a previous lesson, the pentatonic scale in C major that we have learnt in this position also happens to be what's called the relative in A minor. That is, the same set of notes can sound minor when the A is emphasized rather than the C. I demonstrated that earlier on. Now, with the background progressions being chords 1 and 6, in this case C major and A minor, if I play the scale over the two chords, a funny thing starts to happen. It sounds over the C major that the scale will sound very bright and happy and major sounding, but when the chord in the background switches to A minor, all of a sudden it appears like I've changed scales, even though my fingers are in exactly the same position. Let's listen to this. Now, I'm going to simplify the listening process even further by playing the scale while the chords are going on in the background, but I will point out which is major and which is minor. I won't play any lead solos themselves, just simply the scale. Here we go. C major, A minor. Notice how the scale sounds minor. Sounds happy and major. Now it sounds minor. Major sounding. Here comes the change. Minor sounding. Now, it's rather an odd musical effect when you hear the sound of a scale suddenly switching from major to minor and back again to major. Now, why does this seem to occur? Well, the reason is quite simple. When you're soloing, you're playing single individual notes from the scale. While you're soloing, though, the chord in the background is made up of triad notes, 3 notes that make up that chord. And what happens is, if a minor chord, for example, is being played, those triad notes are sufficiently sonically strong enough to pull the single notes of your scale into it, therefore making your scale sound minor rather than major. And it's the same when a major chord is being played. your single notes get drawn into those triad notes in the major chord, and all of a sudden the entire scale will sound major. Now, when you're soloing over chords 1 and 6, in this case the C major and the A minor, it's quite tricky with regard to landing on the appropriate chord notes. Again, I'm on the 4th and 3rd string mainly, in the midpoint of the pentatonic scale. Now here is A on the 4th string, and here is G on the 4th string at the 5th fret. Now when C major is being played, you can emphasize this note as a note to end your phrase on. But when A minor is being played, if you accidentally end on the G while A minor is coming up or while A minor is being played, it will sound like a mistake because it will be a very powerful, strong sounding passing note, and you'll have to quickly resolve it to the A. Now this is only on one string, but it still applies, the same method and concept still apply to the other strings as well. Now we're going to listen to it with the backing playing, which will start with C and then go to A minor. Once again, here is how it will sound when you're jamming along to chord 1 and 6, or C major to A minor. There's my chord note there. That wants to climb up. And listen. Here, I can't stay on that chord note for too long because of the A minor. Now, I'm anticipating the change to A minor, and I move up to A right away. And it's the same thing on the 3rd string. Here we go, I'll start with a bend. Notice how I rounded it off to the nearest chord note. C major again, and A for A minor. Once again, I highly recommend that you download the MP3 of C to A minor and practice jamming along to it so that you can get your phrases sounding musically really tasteful and very nice. Now, before we move on, I also want to mention that in different keys, that is, if you're playing over a different set of chords in an entirely different key than the key of C major, all you do is move the pentatonic pattern along the neck to the appropriate place where it will match the new key. Now, remember also that all the methods of soloing we've dealt with, that is, landing on the appropriate chord notes and watching out for all the passing notes, will also apply to the new position that you move into. That is, if you're dealing with another 1-4-5 progression or any set of chord progressions in a different key, the same set of chord notes will be in exactly the same positions even though you've moved your scale along the neck to a different spot.